Today we are going to talk about those 3 steps to return back to our power, to reclaim our power, to return to our divine presence, even if we are in the midst of difficulties. Because it is easy to say, come back to your divine presence. It is easy to have all these concepts and these ideas that we learn and that we see and so on and so forth, and to give lip service to that. But if it's not something that is truly embodied in our lived experience, in our feeling, in our cellular memory, that we bring this knowing in, it is only going to stay in the dimension of the conscious mental realm, which is such a limited part of our existence. And therefore, it is not really truly going to translate into what we want. And what we want isn't what we all want, to just feel that power, that juiciness, that aliveness, inspiration, and connected to our truth and everything in abundance, and then have that reflected as well in our outer reality, which sometimes can take a little longer, but that's another topic I'll talk about another time. But anyhow, so in order to get there, it has to be really a felt experience. So it's not simply enough to go ahead and say a couple of affirmations, and that's why these 3 golden steps that I'm giving you today, if you apply them whenever you are in a difficult situation, whenever your mind is taking over your emotions or your human or whatever it is, if you apply those steps, you are going to shift out of the situation rapidly. This is not about suppressing what is there or sugarcoating things. Yes, there can be intense traumatic situations in life that we experience, and when they come through, we want to work with them. But what I'm giving you here is going to support you in shifting really fast in just like the day-to-day things, the day-to-day moments that can pop up, but as well in more intense, perhaps traumatic situations. If you keep using it, it may take a moment longer, depending on how deep the thing is that you're working with. All right. So before I go into the 3 steps, I want to highlight something that is very important, and that's going to help us to understand those steps today. The first thing is that, well, not the first thing, that before we go into the first step, is that there are really only 2 frequencies that exist. And yes, I know, there are loads and loads and loads of frequencies, but there are really only 2 main frequencies that we can align ourselves to, that we choose, which is either fear. Oh, okay, just cut. I think I'm back. Please make a little emoji if you can hear me, because it seemed like my internet just cut. Yes, okay, great. So let's continue with this. So there is either fear or love. Okay, so fear is the frequency of our conditioned self, of our, some may call it the ego mind. I don't really like this word so much because I don't like to even give it an identity. The way how I see it more is layers upon layers upon layers of conditions, of the collective consciousness, of parental stories, of our upbringing, of the traumatic experiences of our birth, which in itself is a deeply traumatic experience if you've had a conventional birth. So all of that is going to program into us this deep frequency of separation, which is fear, which create a separate construct that we identify with as perhaps our ego or so on, which it's mainly ingrained in our lower chakras. And then from that construct, from that separated lack identity, we're gonna go out in life and we're gonna look for all the things to support us, to help us to come out of that lack, because it feels so unbearably intense and painful. And I know it because I have been diving into so many places inside myself. There were even times where I was like, oh my God, this pain is so intense when we really dive into the root of the separation. It's like, I cannot even be here. I don't even want to be in this body. It's just really intense. And I had to do a lot of space holding and healing for myself around that through those deeper layers of death, initiation, and ascension. But if we don't do this healing work, and if we just stay in that knot, then we are really living in a frequency of fear, of lack. And we are operating in our daily life. Our nervous system is going to be in fight or flight. It may just be very subtle, where there's just an underlying energy of rushing through your day, and you just like, need to get this done, need to get to the next thing, need to, take care of this, and then you're like, oh, but my day is over at the end of the day, and you're like, okay, did I get all my things done? Yes, and okay, that's good. And all of that is coming from a very subtle space of fear and fight or flight in our nervous system. I'm just gonna close the windows. Sorry, some noises. Okay, so we have that. Yeah, and I think all of you know what I'm talking about. And then there is the frequency of love, which love is our true divine self, is the connection to our heart, is the connection to our intuition, to our inner guidance, is the knowing that we are not only those separate human beings, but we are as well part of a greater body of consciousness that is guiding us and that is creating everything in a perfect unfolding. And from that space we can reside in the frequency of love. And that frequency of love as well, if we would give those two frequencies a movement, I would say that fear is like this, and it's very fast, and it's when we have a monkey mind, that is the expression of the movement. And then love is just a very, maybe just more like a gentle movement, where there's the mind, perhaps we have thought, but we're really just present and in deeper trust. And then sometimes it can go like this again because there's the fear, but if we know the feeling of love, we can always tune back into it. And that's basically these 3 steps that I'm giving you today, is to come back into this. Yes, from this. So let me know if that makes sense to everyone. Send me some little emojis here or so I can see as well if you're watching the replay, please. Thank you. Okay. So for the 3 steps, the first step is very simple, and yet it's the biggest initiation can really be. The first step is that we must choose. We must choose. Do I want to choose love in this situation? Or am I choosing fear? Am I choosing the same old story? And this is actually making me just a little bit emotional right now, because I just know how powerful this choice is. Because often we are there, we're like, yes, I'm choosing love, I'm choosing the divine, I'm choosing, but then we walk through life and we are not choosing it. We are choosing our fear. We are choosing not to take the leap of faith. We are choosing not to make the change. In whatever way the change has to look like. We are choosing when we are in a discussion with our partners or in triggers to play into the defense, to play into the story, to play into the victim of the situation, rather than to take responsibility and to say, you know, this feels really intense right now. Maybe I'm in this discussion. There's something deeply triggering inside me. But I'm going to just choose love. And that may mean you going into another room and doing the rest of the process that I'm going to just share with you about. That may mean you witnessing your life in a way that it is, however way you're struggling in your life. It may be your living situation, it may be your money story, it may be your job, whatever it is, for you to say, okay, I'm looking at all of this and I know that I have created this through my own consciousness and choices and beliefs. And now I am choosing to change this. I don't know how. I don't know what I will do. I don't know, but I am just done and I'm making the choice. It's very, very extremely powerful, okay? It's not just a little thing. It's a full body choice, and it's gonna come in the moment, either when we are in a very intense suffering and we really cannot anymore, or when we are just done and we're just ready and we finally know our power and we're just done with the old story of the unworthiness and I'm not good enough and the victim and poor me and my life is always so horrible and I cannot change this and all the things. And it's not about pushing those things away and just pushing them away and saying, I'm done, I'm doing something else. We want to bring those things in very deeply and be able to embrace them and to love them and to look at them. And I'm going to share in a second how you can do that. And yet keep choosing love. Like, yet keep choosing love. Okay, I'm feeling this thing again. I'm feeling myself in the victim. I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling the same old story playing in my head. What can I do? Can I create a new neural net? And now we are going to come to step 2, which is really the core of making the shift, but all of those steps are very important. And step 2 is to process the stuck emotion that is held behind the story, because every story that we are telling ourselves holds an emotion, holds a memory, holds a truth. And the emotion and the feeling behind the story is what really is making it true. It's what really is making it a reality. So when we often hear about manifestation and those ideas and techniques of like feel the thing that you want first or whatsoever come to the feeling, it's because we really create through our feeling. And we really do the things because of how we want to feel. If we feel amazing, if we feel in so much love and overflowing of love, it is almost not even that important anymore how our external reality looks like, and yet it's going to change because it's going to reflect who we are. But it's really about that. And when we have stuck emotions like anger and sadness and grief and pain and all the things that are part of our human experience, when we have them there and we really don't allow ourselves to go into the raw, honest and vulnerable truth of the story of the emotion, it is going to continue to rule our life. And this is something I really consider myself an expert in, because I have done so much work with the emotion, with myself and others, of really guiding people deep into those processes. And sometimes it can be quite underrated. We're like, yeah, emotions, and it's not about just, you know, having emotional outbursts and being like really emotional person and then lying in bed and crying and then being angry. It's not about that what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a very channeled process of accessing the deep layers. And the way how you can do that is that when this trigger is there and when this difficult situation is there, you first make the choice, I want to change this. I don't want to be a victim of the situation. And then second, you inquire into the emotion that is behind. How is this making me feel? Where is this coming from? Where do I feel this in my body? Is there some resistance here? What do I want to say? How do I really want to respond to that? Am I very angry? Do I want to scream at someone? And then what I said before is when you are in a relationship with someone, you don't scream at them. You don't let your shit out at another. But you go into a room. And by the way, everything I'm sharing with you here is I have done it. I have done the screaming at the other. I have done as well, and I am doing now, you know, when I'm triggered, I'm not. But so I totally understand all those things, and if you experience that perhaps. So there's no judgment here. I'm just making a suggestion. So you go into the other room and you really express what you want to say to them. And you perhaps may want to say, I hate you, motherfucker. I don't know, whatever it is that wants to come out, but you do it in your own space. And you allow yourself to feel the emotions. And then I have a bunch of techniques that come with it, but I'm not going to go into all of this right now because I want to keep it very focused on those 3 steps. So this is extremely important, this work with our emotion, and it's very sacred, and it's really the process of descending. And as we descend deeper and deeper and deeper into our being, then what is going to happen is that every time you made that choice of choosing love over fear, of making the change, is going to add up to like your positive bubble or your love energy reserve. So that means that it's going to get easier and easier and easier every time. And every time you process the emotion, at the beginning it may be more difficult, especially if it's not something that you regularly do. But after, it's just going to get easier and easier and faster. And you just shift out of it faster because it is not real. It is not true. It's just a bunch of things that you have gathered throughout your life, of emotions, of thoughts, and of stories. And as we purify them, we come back into the simplicity of our being, into presence, into our divinity. And in the same time, we are still humans. So as humans, we get triggered and we make mistakes and we mess things up. And it will be so much easier to deal with that because our divine self is online, so we can embrace it faster. And then the third thing is, after you have processed the emotions, to come back to regulate your nervous system, because sometimes it can be very intense, especially when we go deep into the emotion. And I as well want to share with you that for a while, when I was doing this work on a very, very deep level and I was going through a lot of emotional purification, I was losing a lot of hair. And it was like, because so much unresolved trauma was coming up for me and I was seeing it, and it was very stressful for my nervous system, but in the same time it was healing. And yet throughout that time frame, I was yeah, I was losing a lot of hair. I was just going through a lot of intense shifts. But yet it had to be done in one way or the other, and that's why as well I am creating those safe containers for people so they can go through it in a more contained way and feel supported and be supported in it rather than doing it by yourself, because sometimes it can be quite intense when we go through those purifications. And I'm just realizing, like, I wanted to give this 3 simple tips, but now it's turned into this very deep thing. It's just kind of, I don't know, I like to go deep. So anyway, the last thing, the third thing, is the regulation of your nervous system. So you wanna come back after you've released the emotion. And it doesn't always have to be a massive emotional outbreak. It can be just a little thing. It may even just be like a tuning in. How am I feeling? I'm feeling this. And it shifts. There's no rule. But as long as you inquire into what is there, you then coming back into regulating your nervous system. The way how I like to do it, for me, the foundation of everything is really safety. So I always like to say, I'm safe, I'm held, I'm supported, it's all good, I'm safe, I can trust, it is safe to let go. And I really feel it. I really bring it, and I just touch my body gently. That's something really nice to do as well. I'm communicating to my cells that it's safe to let go. It's safe to come back into the present moment. Deep breathing, maybe a little meditation, whatever it is that you know makes you feel calm. And often that is the only thing that we do when we want to shift from a difficult situation. We just want to like go instantly to, no, it's okay, I'm safe, and it's okay, and we actually just suppress what is there. And that's why it's so important to really make the choice, to honestly make the shift, and then to feel the thing, and then to come back whole circle to the presence. So these are the 3 golden keys. And as I said before, I think I went quite deep with it today, so you know how to use it in intense situations. But it can even just be in not as intense situations. Just perhaps you feel a little down or feel a little unmotivated or a bit depressed. That's not normal, by the way. You know, often we're like, oh yeah, but it's normal. Sometimes we feel depressed. No, it's because there's something there. It's not normal. So you can use those 3 steps to inquire. And it has to come as well from a loving space, not pushing yourself into, really lovingly making the choice, yet powerfully. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you, and as well anyone who's watching the replay, please make a comment, let me know. If you use this technique, I would love to hear you. I would love to, read your post in our group and see your sharing about it, how it worked for you. I would love that. And as well, if you would like to go deeper with me and deeper into the process of descending into your own old story and really looking at your life, what it is that you want to shift, where is it that you want to go to come into deeper divine embodiment, to really live from your Dharma, to really live in that frequency of abundance and overflow and make that your lived reality, you can book a free clarity call with me where we are going to create a beautiful map for you, and we're going to look at where you're at in your life right now, where you want to go, how to get there, and bring it all and map it all together. And there's as well no obligation for you to sign up to anything with me through that, but it's really for you to feel into it, and as well to just receive this gift and this transmission of the call and the clarity map that I'll provide, that we would create together. All right, so I'm going to pop the link for the booking link into the description, and it's as well in the title of the group. And otherwise, I'll wish you all a beautiful day. Thank you so much for showing up today, and so much love. And thank you as well for your patience at the beginning. All right. Bye. See you soon. Thank you.